Being a teenager isn't easy.
Don't move on without him. Remember him. Bring him with you.
Time to put you out of your misery.
If you want to see the future, look to the past.
You really don't know what's going on, do you?
It's a tough week.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick here from NerdTalk, back in with another interview for you guys today. In today's video, I am very proud to introduce someone who is obviously new to NerdTalk, you guys have never seen before, Brandon Melo himself from Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan. Brandon, welcome to the show. It is very awesome to have you. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor. I've seen your content, and it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to talking all sorts of nerdy today.
Definitely, dude. Yeah, like, obviously you guys will see at the end of the video, we already did a little bit of a brief introduction to kind of talk to each other and see how things are going. You guys will see that at the end. Don't worry. Everybody got super mad when I didn't do that the last video with Max. So I was like, okay, I got it. I'm sorry. Like, I'll do it next time. But yeah, no, man, kind of just going right into it, no holds bar. Tell us about Spider-Man. Tell us about what is going on. I've read and I saw the trailer, which I think everybody should see. If you have not already, it's going to be linked in the description down below. Yeah, tell us, what is Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan like fully based on, and what is it about?
Yeah, it's a 5-part series that follows a week in the life of Peter Parker. I've always thought that the character just, the nature of comics, the character works well in a serialized fashion. So I wanted to play with the character, but in a new sandbox. We haven't had a live action series on the character for quite a while. I believe.
Yeah, I think the 70s. Yeah.
I that in itself is very exciting, and we wanted it to have a bit of a nostalgia behind it. So our meets pitch for the show is Stranger Things meets Cobra Kai.
Boy.
It's quite
Could be terrifying and action packed all at the same time.
yes, it paints a vision, and it's of course, two very successful shows, so it's a very high bar. But you play with the teen drama, right, of what you would normally get within a Spider-Man piece of content, pending which year of Spider-Man history you're playing with, but also all of the horrors of growing up, and of the criminal underworld. So there's a lot of fun new additions to the material that we haven't seen before, and it's a very exciting and personal narrative that's very close to me. I've taken a lot of pieces of my own life that I could really relate to, and I felt like could really help others. The one thing that I feel like I wish was explored a little bit more in the MCU that we tackle is, Peter Parker, fresh off of the death of Uncle Ben, now having to deal with the repercussions of that, and his home life with essentially a single mother. And I grew up with a single mother, and the trials and tribulations of that. And it's not just the grief, but that adjusting period, and what that looks like. So that's something that I think that is very poignant, and I think can help a lot of people through a hard time. And that's really what the stories of Spider-Man had done for me growing up.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I obviously am kind of the mascot now of basically saying that Spider-Man is the most relatable superhero in terms of not just who he is or what he has to do or what he's been through, but just in his home life and everything like that, everything that he goes through on a day-to-day basis, he is very much, everybody can see something of themselves in Spider-Man in some fashion or another. So I like that idea that, you guys are really kind of taking in stuff that you guys have had to deal with throughout your guys' lives and implementing it into this story without having it almost feel overbearing. So that's a really cool thing that I saw about. From what I saw about the trailer, I'm not even gonna try and jump, like I'm not even gonna try and like do a little detail. I need to know what the hell is going on with Scorpion in this movie or in this show. Like when I saw that, immediately, ironically, when you said Stranger Things, immediately I thought of like Vecna or the Demogorgon or something like that, because it was like this otherworldly entity. But I could tell right away that I thought it was either Scorpion or Carnage, because I didn't see the tail at first, and then I saw the tail. I was like, oh shit, all right, never mind. That's I know who that is. So yeah, tell me about what's going on with Scorpion in this show. Like how did that happen?
Well, everything is story first, and if our meets pitches Stranger Things meets Cobra Kai, there's elements of Stranger Things that you have to fulfill and see through. Otherwise, there's no point in even referencing it, right? For us, it's Scorpion is supposed to play into the thematic relevance of our narrative and represent a lot of the pieces of Peter that are broken, that he needs to confront, and Scorpion is that physical presence that allows for that opportunity. That being said, Peter has to face his demons. In our log line, it's Peter has to confront the past in order to save his city from
I see that up there. Yep.
and that's one of many ways that he has to confront his past. So that's from a story perspective. From just a production perspective, we wanted to make sure that we could provide something fresh and new. So we reached out to a friend of ours, Rashad Santiago, who was the Face Off season 6 winner, and
that's cool.
Also worked on the Demogorgon for Stranger Things.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, on our Indiegogo, there's an image of him with the Demogorgon, and he's like kind of like off to the side, gleeful.
That also will be linked in the description, by the way, for anybody who is wanting to donate to this, who wants this to be as perfect as it looks already. Go to the Indiegogo, donate. I've already donated, so go do it. It's worth it. Trust me, you'll see. I'm fully confident, especially seeing the cast list, which we'll talk about in a minute after. But yeah, continue going on with Scorpion, dude.
Yeah, he Rashad brings not just a ton of energy to the team, but also brings a ton of creativity. And we're not Sony Pictures. This is a nonprofit. When we were starting out before the Indiegogo, everything came out of pocket for both me and my mother. So this is a true passion project, and hopefully something that I can use as part of my portfolio. The goal here really is to just tell this very personal story. It really, yes, we have all of the surface level things that's needed for the superhero genre, but the part that matters the most to me is the Peter Parker story. The teen coming of age element is something that I feel like is what's going to resonate, and hopefully when people think back to the series, yes, they can think back to all the cool action with Scorpion and the fact that we had a practical suit and all of those pieces, but all of those production elements would be nothing without a good story.
Right. Would you say that the show in this essence, would you say is it more of a character study regarding Peter as well as like the life that he's living currently?
That's definitely part of it, of course. There's certainly overarching plot elements with Kingpin and such, but for the most part, it's focusing on the week of Peter Parker and getting all those slice of life elements that you wouldn't normally get in a movie, because you're constricted to a 2-hour runtime. So
right.
it is really there to track the journey of Peter Parker and seeing his coming of age story in a very different fashion. He has to grow up very quickly because of all the responsibilities, not just as a hero but also as Peter Parker.
Okay, gotcha. And kind of tackling the cast real quick, because oh my gosh, I when I saw this cast, I was like, wow, because I knew you obviously. I think we had actually, you had followed Nerd Talk for a minute, or I had followed you for a minute, but Kevin Porter is in this. John Bailey is in this. Like, how did that feel? Because I grew up with Kevin Porter on YouTube as Batman. Obviously, he just starred in the Dying is Easy fan film not too long ago. That was phenomenal. How does that feel, being able to bring these, actors who have played these iconic characters over these years to this fold? And can you talk about who they're playing and their roles that they're doing? I know you say that John Bailey is Jane Joe Jameson, but what about Kevin Porter?
Uh, um, there are. Well, I'll start with something very broad in response to what you were saying about the emotional impact. I had grown up with watching Bat in the Sun and a lot of these other creatives
Superpower
that
Beatdown.
Superpower Beatdown. Yeah, I had also grown up with Ismahawk.
Yeah.
And a lot of the basically the icons of this fan film community, these people that really turned it into what it is right now. So for me, I think beyond their presence, it really comes down to, are they quality performers? Are they going to help us tell the story? And of course, because of their foundation in the community, we've seen their work. We know that they have a lot of value to bring. And of course, bringing them on also brings their brands and their following as well. So we knew that they could help the story, and that's what was most important to me, outside of what they had done before, because I don't want to tarnish their reputation either. It needs to be a mutual respect and also be mutually beneficial.
Right.
In order to bring on such talent, and we had to. Before bringing them on, get to know each other and make sure that the team dynamics work, that we could all trust each other and be vulnerable in this space. So there was a lot of growing to do, and now I'm very thankful and grateful to call some of these individuals my friends. I had recently brought Kevin on to a feature that I worked on, and when I would go out to LA, I would grab dinner with him, and these are just really good people at heart. And they really helped push me. Kevin, being a veteran in the fan film community, he told me a lot of tricks and experiences of his own life that you can't buy. You can't buy in a textbook. Things that you just have to roll up your sleeves and learn through making low budget productions. So it was certainly very insightful and humbling as well. There were things that he said on set that really impacted me and really changed my life. And I could say the same for all of the individuals on set. Jamie Costa, I grew up watching his stuff. Kenobi's an incredible piece of content, not just for fan films, but is just an incredible piece of work for industry standards. All of the SAG professionals in that. It's really fantastic. Jamie Costa plays the Shocker in our series. He's one of our foes that Spider-Man has to face, and also provides a personal challenge for Peter Parker, where our Shocker is a father of a young boy, and Peter has to wrestle with the dilemma of, okay, if I put him away in prison, I'm giving this young boy a similar experience that I had, where I'm taking his father away from him. So there's a lot of elements there that developed our story, and we wanted to make sure that we had the best actors to bring on board, and that the quality matched their performance, their standards.
Right.
And Kevin, I will leave as a secret for now.
Dang it! I knew that was where it was going when you didn't tell me. I was like, cause at first I thought you were just gonna like stop talking, then I was gonna ask. Damn it!
uh,
Okay. All right.
he's a delightful surprise. I'll tell you that much. You not what you would expect from Kevin Porter whatsoever, especially the fact that he is known for Batman. So we very much went against that typecasting.
Okay.
I'll take some people out of the mix. He had picked up the phone when we called him and he said, "All right, is this going to be Craven?" And we had immediately told him no. So that's just
Craven's out.
yes.
So
So
Craven is out. Okay.
it's there's some people in the Spider-Man lore that we pulled from that's deep cuts, and Kevin Porter plays a deep cut character. But I will then
Ooh. I have my
uh,
theories. I have my theories. We'll
I
discuss it a little bit
will
later, but
I'll put the fire out a little bit and confirm that Tatiana's playing Black Widow. She's reprising her role.
yes.
So while Kevin were playing close to the chest, I will say that Tatiana is a fun return to the community. She doesn't do fan films nearly as much as she used to, just because she's working on very high end productions. I mean, she was recently on Atlanta,
Yes.
which is a show that I adore myself. So it was very surreal to be like, oh, that's my friend. I got dinner.
That's my friend. That's my friend. She's at the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I get it, dude. That's like, obviously, I get the whole Kevin Porter secret thing. Completely get it. But yeah, no, I was definitely, I was there when, I feel exactly how you feel when it comes to, having these situations where you're meeting people that you almost idolized in a way, or you were really, really big fans of, and then that literally turning into a friendship. The same thing has happened to me over multiple different bases. Most recently with Spider-Man Lotus, I literally just was a guy interviewing these guys, these people, this wonderful cast, and this wonderful team of people who just wanted to make this film. And now it's like I talk to Jacob and Max and his mom probably more than I talk to like my family. Like I talk to them way too often nowadays. So I completely get it. It is something. It's definitely a weird, surreal feeling. So it's a funny like thing to have to kind of hop over that like, oh well, this is happening now. Jumping right to my next question because I was very curious about it. The costume, the suit, heavily inspired by Tobey Maguire's interpretation of the suit. Can you give us a little bit of what's going on there, and how's that? How does his suit kind of go into the story and everything like that, and why is it based off of Tobey, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, playing into nostalgia, and that's a very important element of both of our meets pitches, right? So we wanted to pay tribute to that and play with nostalgia and bringing back the Raimi suit. At the time that we went into production in 2019, it was very uncommon for us to see the Raimi suit. So it was prior to Lotus, where an original suit was the standard. We definitely had talks about it, and when I had done another iteration of Spider-Man, a proof of concept essentially. It was called the Web of Spider-Man. We had created our own suit for that, and we had created almost a new interpretation of the character. It was very dark. It was very much my own spin. I did my own stamp on the character, and that's not what we wanted to do here. Very much learning from the mistakes of Man of Steel in a way. We don't want to change the character. We want to do what Winter Soldier did, where you take Captain America, right? You take Spider-Man, and you preserve that character. You take what everyone thinks about the character, and you just throw them into new situations, and then see how they develop and change. And that's what we're doing here. The Raimi suit is very much the standard when it comes to Spider-Man suits. It's almost it's as classic as you can be. It's not like TASM where it's different and it's unique. We don't want to put our own, stamp on Spider-Man here. We just want to tell a Spider-Man story. Imagine that, a studio comes to you and gives you a little bit of change and says, "Here's what you would do with the character," and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, no, like that. Yeah, because obviously the Raimi suit, I would say, is probably the most familiar of the Spider-Man suits. It is, you know, pretty much right from the get-go. It is the most nostalgic. Everybody, at least a good amount of people, when they think of Spider-Man, think of Tobey Maguire.
Exactly.
So it is something that I can definitely understand. I've discussed it on the channel. I'm gonna get more eye rolls about it. I'm an Andrew boy all the way. Personally, I love, especially his TASM 2 suit. That is like my definitive Spider-Man suit through and
I
through.
don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I love Andrew just as much as the next guy. I think he's the best actor to get the role.
Mm.
When I saw No Way Home, I cheered over Andrew. I think Andrew is the movie when it comes to No Way Home. That might be slightly.
I'm
Uh,
still rooting for Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox still owns No Way Home.
Charlie Cox is great, but yeah, Andrew was just phenomenal. So I very much admire Andrew. So not to take away anything from that. I love the lean build of Andrew. I think that's Spider-Man. I like how lanky he is. I liked all of his movements. So we pulled from that. It's not to take away from that, but when a lot of people think of Spider-Man, yes, they pulled
Yeah.
from Taz too. But at the time, the market, there were so many fan films that were coming out that had the TASM too. So we wanted to
True.
differentiate from ourselves. Our friends at Bat in the Sun, they were using the TASM 2 suit. Aaron even played Spider-Man in the video game. Joey Lever, he used the TASM suit. So it was really just about when this started and how we were differentiating ourselves at that time, and not even just that. It's not even just about differentiating ourselves. It's to also play into the story and what we needed. It's very much an early 2000s show in feeling and tone. And we
Okay.
basically kind of play with the idea of what if there was a Spider-Man show in the early 2000s. And you see a lot of familiar iconography with the rest of the characters as if they were pulled straight from the early 2000s.
Right.
That like Johnny Storm, who's in our show, William Schufelt, who's from Power Rangers, and there's a plethora of other creators coming on that are stepping into the shoes of iconic characters, and we want to showcase this world through a specific lens. So that's very much what the Marvel Adventures universe provides: is the opportunity for a wider, larger Marvel our own MCU.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. I never really, I guess, thought of it that way, and that's actually a good like kind of way to view it. Cause yeah, when I do think about it, I think of like, the TASM 2 suit is very much like like you said, very much a stamp on the fan community. It's one of the most used suits for the film, and I think that's mainly because it's just in a lot of people's eyes like the closest comic book adaptation to the costume.
Yeah.
So I don't get me wrong, I think the Toby suit is phenomenal. I've been a fan of the Toby suit probably actually since the first Spider-Man film. I actually sometimes prefer the original like Toby suit from Spider-Man 1 over the newer ones.
I feel that.
So like
And I
the
like the textures.
I love the back emblem. The back emblem's the best part for me. Like it feels more like a modernization of the classic back logo compared
Yeah.
to like the back spider that he has later on. I really love that one. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, like I love the suit that you guys use, and it's because it almost feels perfectly like similar to Toby's with a little bit of a twist just to kind of convey that this is your guys' interpretation of the characters. So I think it was perfectly used. I think it was really well made. Also, if you don't mind me asking, who made that suit? If you can share that.
Yeah, we have a few people that contributed to the suit. Replica Industries, they primarily made the suit, but the classic red and blue isn't the only suit that Peter's going to be wearing in the show, and it goes through its own evolution. So, just like Winter Soldier and some of the other Marvel products. we give different looks for our characters. So just because we're starting with Raimi doesn't mean we're ending with Raimi.
Okay, all right, that gets me excited. That gets me excited. Okay, yep. Again, like kind of throwing it back for a second when we were talking about the fact that like this is a 5-part series. I
Yeah.
am so like I'm gonna try and stress it as best as I can. I am so happy that these characters like Spider-Man and even like Superman or Batman and all these bigger characters who really have just been saved for these films. I'm so happy that they're finally getting like an episodic series. I'm currently working on my own show. I'm working on a Batman series that we're doing. It's a live action Batman series that we're doing. Very, very excited about that. We're very, very early on production. We're just finishing the final script of episode, which I can now safely say. But it's an 8-episode series. We're doing a first season just to test the waters kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the reason why we did that was exactly what you had said. That these characters, Spider-Man and Batman specifically, are both characters that have not had an episodic story forever. Like the last live action Batman show was in the 60s, while the last live action Spider-Man show was in the 70s. So it's like, how can you manage to, create a storyline in which, that whole representation can be fully shown in a 2-hour window? So it's so nice to see that these characters are being represented in that way, and that's why like when I read that it was like an actual show, I was like, yes, like that makes me so happy.
It really stemmed from a few different things. Of course, yes, the comics. That was something that helped me growing up. At the end of each month, I could look forward to a new issue of Spider-Man, my friend Spider-Man, who could help me through my hard times. So that was a necessity in my own life. And we very much wanted to bring that to life here with the show. But not just that, it's also to pay tribute to some of the fan films that inspired me at the time. 2 of them in particular was Peter's Web. Growing up, that's a classic, and that was in a serialized fashion as well. And Nightwing the series.
Yeah, I remember that one.
It was incredible. In school, every week I was looking forward to the next episode, and that had such a big impact on me. So it's seeing what had worked before and taking notes and then applying it to my own project.
My next question, obviously we were talking about the suit and stuff,
Yeah.
is the CGI. I
Yeah.
have to give credit where credit is due. That CGI in this show is phenomenal, especially on Shocker's gauntlets during the little scene that we had of the web slinging. Can you talk a little bit about that? How has it been like kind of going through with the CGI on this film?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Our objective with the main series is just to our goal here is just to create something objectively good, not by fan film standards, but by industry standards. And that's what we wanted to hold ourselves to. And that doesn't just come with the quality of the footage, the quality of the performers, but also the quality of the CG. And I know in recent Marvel pictures, because of their rushed timelines, the CG doesn't hold up. And if you're trying to have a true escapist experience, if you see some bad CG, it's going to take you right out of it. I can tell you that's what happened. Flash. And you then have a disconnect with your audience where you no longer believe in what you're seeing. And then the minute that you remind everyone that you're watching a movie, it's just
you lost it.
Exactly. You tarnish the experience and you no longer can connect to it anymore. And that has been sad for me in recent years. So I didn't want that to happen to our product either. And it's especially true with a limited budget. So we wanted to reach out to some of the best artists that we know and give them the timeline that they needed. We worked on that teaser for about 7 months.
Wow.
So, One, going through all the different drafts of just getting the story right. What my first I edited the teaser, so my first draft was about like 2 minutes long, and from there, having a good team, good producers to push me to make my story concise and make sure that it's easy to digest. I think it's even better now, the fact that it's 1 minute and it gets straight to the point. It leaves you wanting more. You
Yeah,
never
it
want to.
leaves you with questions. Exactly.
Exactly. You never want to overstay your welcome, especially as a filmmaker, and especially when you're on a budget. You want to make sure that you always present quality, and that's what we wanted to do here. We had our friends at Ismahawk come in. Uh,
Phenomenal people.
they worked on all of the shocker gauntlet sequences, and they even touched up the Spider-Man mask for our hero shot. There was a little bit of just like you see in Marvel pictures. There was a little bit of wrinkles in the suit. The webs didn't line up appropriately, and stuff like that. Whether it's
Practical stuff. Yeah.
wardrobe malfunctions or prod design, those things take me out of a movie just as much as bad CGI. So I wanted to make sure that the suit looked good. And touch-ups like that, we were very meticulous. There was about 19 or 20 shots that were CG.
Okay.
Whether it's like sky replacement, whether it's removing a C stand from a background. There were so many small things, little things that fans are catching now. I'll give you another example, the gravestone. And throwing in Uncle Ben there and making sure that that functions well and it looks real and tangible, including the Star of David, and of course in the backdrop, something that no one has caught so far is Jack Murdoch is right next to.
No.
Yeah, no,
Oh my god.
and it's something
That's
very,
awesome.
but no one has caught yet. You can see
I'm putting the trailer at the beginning of this interview so that everybody can see. You don't have a choice. Obviously, if you got into this point in the interview, you've already seen it. But
Yeah.
to all those, y'all don't have a choice. You're seeing this trailer.
I love Easter eggs. That's something that like I adore because like you're not. Here's the thing, like I don't want it to feel like you're just watching stock footage of New York. No, you are in the Marvel universe, so it's not just plugging in some slap together stock footage and seeing how it plays to add some spectacle. It's about really enhancing the world and feeling like you're there, and all of the nuances of the world of being a living, functioning world. And that's what I love so much about say what you will about Zack Snyder, but he really knows how to world build very well. Some of his story choices are questionable, characterization sometimes can be questionable, but everything that he does with the iconography of the DC mythos is beautiful, and it doesn't require anybody to talk about it. It's just beautiful compositions, and that's something that I love as well, is putting together really intricate compositions that you can always go back to and find little details throughout. I'll give you another example with the Statue of Liberty in the background. Not only does the Statue of Liberty shot work on its own with the missing the arm, that saying where New York is at now, the fact that it's very lawless, but in the backdrop you can see Stark Tower as well. Just
You're
this.
trying to like skim through the trailer as you're talking to see all these Easter eggs. Like I'm over here like, where? I want to see them. I want to see them. Yeah, no.
So we're in a Marvel world. Let's play in a Marvel world, right?
Yeah, like that was one thing that like even though I love all of the films, I love the Toby films, the Andrew films, the Tom films, all of them, because they're all just of one of my favorite superhero characters ever made. The Toby films never felt like I was in the Marvel franchise, the Marvel universe. It felt like I was in a Spider-Man franchise where it was just Spider-Man. That's all I saw. But like that is the one thing that I love so much about like the Tom films and specifically like the Spider-Man game, where it feels lived in. It feels like this world isn't just prone to one or two heroes. There's a whole world there. Especially like I want to bring it up again. Like I said, the Spider-Man game, the Spider-Man PS4 game that came out a few years back. Like, there are so many Easter eggs that have nothing to do with the story, besides like one, that you would only know if you were a comic book fan or if
Yeah.
you had seen these characters in previous media. So like
Mhm.
obviously you have like Nelson and Murdoch, you have Josie's bar, you have the bar with no name, which did play a part in the story later on in the DLC. You
Yeah.
had Avengers Tower, Fisk Tower. You had like the gravestones that like how you were referring to in your show. That was the same thing in the game. I love those little details because especially because they're not like made like they're not pointed out. Like it's something that you have to find. I
Yeah.
love that. So I love the little Easter eggs that you guys are putting in. I saw a
Mhm.
couple of them when I was scrolling through just now, just kind of flying through the trailer. I was like, okay, there it is, there it is. I see it. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. I really like that a lot.
I would be nothing without my team. I would just be a boy with a vision. So, yeah, really, it's a testament to all of the artists that stood by the production. Obviously, we compensated them for their time, but they are worth far more. And we're hoping when we work on original projects that we will be able to pay them what they're worth. That's the goal here. This is really just
SAG
uh,
Afro. Come on. Yep. The SAG After strikes. Come on. Yep. Pay them what they're worth. Pay them what they're worth. Exactly.
exactly, yeah. We really just want to use this as a calling card just to start up our careers. A vehicle
Yeah.
for exposure to show what we can do as a production house, and then inevitably from there bring that family that we've created from CG artists to the crew to the actors, everyone that we've connected with and we feel like we have a true bond with. If the material's right, we want to bring them on to more stories. This is really just the beginning in my eyes, and it's the really just a beautiful start to the journey.
Definitely. A couple more things I want to kind of talk about. Big one
Mhm.
being, obviously, I should have kind of probably started with it. The title,
Yes,
Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan. Where did the inspiration for that title come from? Obviously, I think it has to do with some characters in the story, but I also feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a deeper meaning to that title. So can you tell us a little bit
certainly.
more about it?
There's a lot that I want you to experience as an audience member.
Oh, I will be.
Metaphors throughout. There's the very obvious one of very literally we have a monster in the series, that being Scorpion. But it's also playing into the clash of ideologies that Peter will be having with his antagonist, and that's a big one. We don't want to reveal who the main antagonist is yet, but there are a lot of looming characters throughout, such as Scorpion, such as Shocker, such as Kingpin. So it is a broader world. Kingpin connects a lot of these moving pieces. Just him having his hand in.
Shocking. Of course he does.
There's a really rich story that very much is personal to me. The narrative really is about the battle of the mentors, and Peter struggling to figure out which path he'll take. Being fresh off of the death of Uncle Ben, selfishly he's looking to almost replace Uncle Ben. And he's trying to find another Uncle Ben in someone else. Very, understandably so, because he's a young boy trying to figure out where he should go.
Or
And
yeah, his piece and all this.
exactly. And it very much like Goodwill Hunting or even Cobra Kai, you
Oh,
have.
this show's gonna make me cry. God damn it.
um, hopefully in a good way.
Oh no.
But it's this boy trying to find his destiny and being torn between two worlds. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, there's a lot there.
God damn it, dude. I just got done fighting tooth and nail not to cry during the Spider-Man Lotus film. And now this damn show's gonna do it too. God dang it. Okay. Well, kind of throwing it back again a little bit to Scorpion, because this was a question that I had. is the Scorpion that we see in your guys' show, is it a version of Scorpion that we've seen in the past? Like, is it a Matt Gargan? Is there an identity behind it, or is it more of, like you were saying, it's more of like an inner thing for Peter and his demons and stuff like that?
No, there is a Matt Gargan in the show. He is best way to summarize it is, without giving too much away, is he is a character driven by hate and revenge, and inevitably that consumes him. And that physical monster that we see is by his own hubris, and very much like Peter, struggling to whether or not he should be selfish and to seek revenge. We see a physical representation of that with Mac, and that's how Peter ends up confronting a lot of those wants and desires, and confronting his own, I would say, character wounds.
Okay, that's interesting. Like I said, that Scorpion freaks me out. So I'm very excited for that.
Oh, it's nightmare fuel, dude.
Oh, 100%. I was sitting there like, because once again, I'll put a picture up. Once again, sorry for everybody who's having to deal with nightmare fuel now.
Yeah,
that thing is utterly terrifying to look at. It's like it's so just grotesque looking.
Yeah,
and I love that there's like no eyes. Like, it looks like there's almost nothing there.
Playing into our metaphors as well, of just of the character very literally being blind. He initially starts the show off being blind in a metaphorical sense, and then inevitably becomes very literally blind. So there's a lot there that we're playing with. That there's a very rich story just about the state of New York and how that's affecting everyone. And the Statue of Liberty missing an arm very much is a physical representation of that. And that even New York has its own journey. So it's really honestly not too different from our own world, where it's about this broken boy in a broken world, and seeing how that pairing works. Is New York going to have to change, or is he going to have to change? And that's very much what's interesting about it.
Who's
and a
gonna
lot
have
of
to push more, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah, and that's like our Captain America influence that I was telling you about earlier. Is that's why the Raimi suit is so important, because that's classic Spider-Man, right? We see it, and now we're putting him in new environments, a new world, where this is a Scorpion we haven't seen before. This is a Kingpin.
Clearly. Yeah.
So, if Spider-Man then were different, it would be unrecognizable, and then there would be no point in adapting Spider-Man at all, right? Might as well just do a TV show called Vigilante Kid.
Spider Boy.
Yeah. So that's the current pitch. Obviously, we're very steadfast in our beliefs and our approach, but it's unique all around. While we didn't want to change the character of Spider-Man, I feel like we are putting our stamp on it in our own unique way.
All right. And then, kind of obvious question here. Is there a release date in mind? You guys have one going on for that? Like, what's a little detail on that?
Well, I'll tell you where we're at in production right now. We have principal photography shot. That's been in the can since the end of 2020. We wrapped in November. And then since then, we've been adjusting the edit, getting into a really good spot to match the quality that we had wanted, and developing the story even more past what we had done in the writing stage. In film school, they say you make the movie 3 times, right? You do it in the writing phase, you do it in production, and then, of course, you do it again in post-production. That's where we're at right now. Is we're currently raising funds to go back into additional photography. We hope to do that in October or November, pending what happens with both budget and the strike. So we want to finish the story. We want the first episode to be out by the end of this year. We want it to be out by December, if all goes well. But there are so many factors. We want to get some quality actors, and it's impossible to do that if the strike is not resolved. So,
Nope. Yeah, I get it. I'm currently in the same boat right now. I am very fortunate to be able to say that I am a writer on the Batman show that we're currently working on. But as of right now, we're not. We're ceasing production until pretty much the strike is lifted and the people who are currently being affected by the strike are paid what they're due. And so I get it. It's a situation that we have to band with together, and that's I'm very appreciative that you guys are doing that too. That's really cool.
we want to be respectful of our artists, right? Because that's our family. We don't want to disrespect or tarnish our relationships with our family. So we want to all cross the finish line together, and in order to do that, we have to let this issue be resolved. So I'm glad you're doing that as well. I think that's very important. Not just within our own families, but our larger family here.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I have to end this obviously the same way that I have to end every interview nowadays. Thank you guys. But I love doing it anyway. So if you could describe Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Oh, wow.
Yep, everybody reacts the same way. Every single time. Oh, damn. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. Every single time.
I would describe it as a beautiful tragedy. That's the best way I can summarize it.
Okay. So, a beautiful tragedy. So the A is the word. Okay. That's terrifying, actually. Now that I hear you say that, that's terrifying. Oh no. Well, you guys heard it here. If everything goes according to plan, Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan episode 1 will be set to release hopefully in December of this year. Brandon, thank you very much for coming on. Like I said, I will be linking the Indiegogo for Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan down in the description down below. Go donate, help this project see its true form and everything like that in its full beauty and its full entirety. Go follow Brandon on his own social media at Brandon Melo. Also check out Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan on YouTube right now. Video is sitting at 300,000 views already. That's insane. I saw, like, it's August, it's what is it, August 16th? It's been out for 2 weeks, and it's at 300K views. That's insane. Congratulations. Seriously, that is awesome. So, yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Also, share it with your friends. Hopefully, maybe we'll get some more cast from Spider-Man and the Monsters of Manhattan on the show. That'd be great. So, with that being said, I love you all. Brandon, do you have anything you want to say to the audience before we take off?
Well, I want to first thank you for bringing me on. It's an absolute honor, and thank you guys for watching and checking out the teaser and providing all the support. We would be nothing without you. The community is everything.
Definitely. All right, guys. Take
Have a good
care.
one.
I'll see you guys later. There we go. All right.
Yo.
Everything's good. Round 2. Zoom makes me want to throw my whole computer off a cliff. I hate it so much when it comes to this, dude. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, I can unfortunately relate. Yeah, through all the business meetings that my business partner and I have, Zoom has always interfered in one way or another. We still haven't moved to Google Meet. We got to get on it. Google Hangout. Yeah, it's just.
I'm thinking we're gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna talk to my team and be like, we need to figure this out, because having to cut the interview in half for a couple minutes to fix it is ridiculous. It is so much time for no reason.